Hey guys, the MMO50 here once again. Going handheld this time. I just don't have the energy to set up the tripod and whatnot. It's been a busy day. I went to see The Dark Knight Rises, the last of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies from what I understand. And before I get to that, I was going to do a review in 5-10 minutes, however long, but this one's going to run a little bit longer than that, and I can't guarantee the length because before I talk about the movie, I have to talk about the tragedy surrounding another viewing of the movie. For those of you who haven't heard by now, in one of the midnight showings in Colorado, there was a group of people who were going to see the movie, and a man came into the theater and killed them. Well, some of them. A lot of the people survived that were in the theater. 70 were wounded, and about 10 to 12 were killed, at least at the time of this video. And the man is in custody. I don't know his name, and the media is not trying to divulge his name. But some people are dead, and this was at a midnight showing. And my heart goes out to the people who lost their lives, because there they were just going to enjoy a movie. And this man, whatever kind of illusions and issues he had, he took these people's lives, and at a movie theater that we may never know why he did it, or if we do ever find out why he did it, we may never fully understand, and I don't think I want to. But I wanted to send my condolences, get my opinion out there, and just say I wish everyone who is involved and their families all the very best. All the people who are recovering right now from the attack, please get well soon. I hope you recover. For all the people who lost loved ones in that event, I've lost some people who are important to me in my life. I know how that feels, and I feel empathy for you. That's really all I can say about it. For those of you who are interested, the Red Cross, I believe, is taking donations of blood, but I'm not certain if they still are. There have been various notices that have come out about that. But that's neither here nor there. Now, with that said, with my condolences said and all of that, I feel it would be more appropriate for me to talk about the movie now. The movie itself, I think it had a hard time to start because after The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger and his performance as the Joker, that's a tough act to follow. And the fact that Heath Ledger died built up a lot of suspense to what his character would be like. You know, it added a lot of X factor to it. And this movie didn't disappoint. Don't get me wrong, but after Ledger's performance, it was going to be hard to top in the first place. This movie, if Dark Knight was a 10, this was a 9. Let's put it like that, okay? If you can consider The Dark Knight a 9, or if you can consider The Dark Knight a 10, this is definitely a 9 all the way. But that doesn't mean that the movie was bad by any stretch. The movie was well, let's start with the actors. I'm not going to give away spoilers, okay? I never do. But the Christian Bale playing Bruce Wayne and Batman, he still has that Batman voice, that kind of thing. He tones it down a little for some of the scenes, but, he still has that for when he's Batman. Okay, fine. Everybody's made jokes about it. I'm not going to add another one onto the pile because that'd just be redundant at this point. Who else? Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon. Again, does a great job as Commissioner Gordon. Applause for that. Who else? It wasn't Scarlett Johansson. She played Black Widow. Who played Catwoman? Wasn't Jolie. God dang it. I can't remember her name. I'm going to feel so bad about this. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the actress playing Catwoman, she did a good job. I mean, she did a good job conveying that, she was in control and, clever, and she thought ahead, analytical and intelligent enough to be a very intelligent thief. Smart woman, in other words. And she was built up well, I think. She was built up well. Bane. Bane as the enemy. Again, no spoilers on anything that happens, but I have to say, his plan is Machiavellian, to say the least, and it's impressive. It's more than impressive, actually, but I really can't say much more without going into spoiler territory, so I'm just gonna on that. So, now the special effects. I gotta give them props to the special effects on the flying Batmobile, quote unquote. It's not a bat plane, so I can't call it the bat plane, but it's not a Batmobile, technically, because it's not on the ground, so I don't really know what to call it. I'm just calling it the flying Batmobile, because it looks like a Batmobile, but it flies, so... And that's not a spoiler, that's in all the trailers. So, that was... The special effects on that were pretty good, even the practical effects on that were pretty good. It looked like a real military vehicle, much like the Tumbler, the original Batmobile in the first movie did. And of course, they brought back the Bat Bike, the Bat Pod, I believe they're calling it, and that was fun too. That was good special effects and always done realistically. All these effects are done very realistically. I give them props. Now the fight choreography. The very first Batman Begins kind of had that problem where the choreography was kind of too up close and tight. It was too frenetic, you know. It's like my fingers on my hand right now. You can hardly tell what each individual finger is doing as they're moving around so fast and everything's so tight. Dark Knight, they went in and they gave you the ability to see what each finger was doing as they were doing it, you know. Basically, that's how it was. And in this one, they did the same thing, but on a grander scale. So they had the ability to allow you to focus on individual events happening all around you, but also be able to focus in on specific events without it being too cluttered and frantic. So that's really the best way I can put it. So the fight choreography definitely was very good. Now, this movie isn't going to go down as being a big game changer like the Avengers was. Now, don't get me wrong by saying that, you know, that I'm not saying that the Avengers by any stretch, was a bad, or I'm not saying that this was a bad movie by any stretch, but the Avengers took multiple movies to build up, and it was a gamble. It was a big gamble, and it was the first time we had massive crossover of every single major superhero in the Marvel Universe outside of Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four. Basically, the Avengers build-up was done perfectly to it, and the payoff was satisfying. And it's a game changer because it completely takes the idea that you can have multiple superheroes from multiple past movies on screen at one time, all sharing the screen, and not have any one of them upstage each other, but also give each of them their due. You know, give them each their own presence, their own weight, and make them feel important to the story. No character necessarily feels superfluous. But Dark Knight Rises goes into great detail in focusing, like the other two Batman movies in this series that Christopher Nolan directed. It focuses a lot on the interpersonal aspect of who Batman as a superhero is, and I like that. I like that it kind of delves into who is the man behind the mask. How does he deal with these tragedies? How does he deal with these things in his life? Some people can say that they go into it a little too much, but I like the idea that it kind of takes in the idea that Batman is a man of many faces, so to speak. And Christian Bale does a great job of conveying those different faces. That's basically all I have to say on that as far as that goes, because that's a very difficult thing to pull off, and Bale's a great actor. I give him all the props in the world to that. Being able to subdue his English accent, for one. That's impressive by itself. But anyway, going into final thoughts, I'd say go see this movie. If you enjoyed Batman Begins and Dark Knight, go see Dark Knight Rises. You're going to like it. You're going to have a good time. And granted, like I said, it's not quite as much full-out action as the Avengers, but it doesn't have to be. It's still more cerebral. It's more intellectual in and of that it's focusing on the interpersonal aspect. But it doesn't sacrifice the action. It has plenty of action for those of you who love action. So, go see the movie if you love Batman. Go see the movie if you love the other Batman movies. This has been a review of Batman: The Dark Knight Rises in 10 minutes or less.